All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining us tonight for this final presentation from our James Castle House resident, Maria Michurina. My name is Kristen Hill, and I am the Cultural Sites Program Manager for the Boise City Department of Arts and History, and Lavona Andrew, who is providing our ASL interpretation for this event on Zoom. Before we move into the event, I would just like to give a little introduction to the James Castle House. For anyone who is not familiar with us, the James Castle House celebrates the life and work of American artist James Castle through exhibitions, community programs, research, residency programs, and conservation of the historic spaces where Castle lived and worked for over 4 decades. The James Castle House is a program of the Boise City Department of Arts and History, which offers many other services, including public art, history, grants, archives, care and conservation, and educational opportunities. So I would like to thank the City of Boise for its ongoing support and for remaining committed to the work that we are doing in the Arts and History Department. We would also like to acknowledge the broader history of the land the James Castle House sits on. We recognize the ancestral, cultural, traditional, and unceded territory of the Shoshone, Bannock, and Northern Paiute people whose land the site is on today. So thank you again for joining us and for your continued support of the arts and cultural community. We strongly encourage your engagement for this event. We will have a question and answer period at the end of Maria's presentation. So this is a hybrid event with an audience inside the gallery as well as on Zoom. So in order to make sure everyone has a chance to hear the questions being answered, I will repeat questions from our in-person audience. And if you're joining us virtually tonight, please feel free to write your thoughts and questions in the Q&A throughout the presentation, and I will read those as well. Before we get into things, I just want to mention a couple of special events that we have coming up at the James Castle House this month. First, we are so excited to announce our 3rd year of participating in the Historic Artist Homes and Studios virtual road trip. Our first event kicks off Thursday, April 13th at 4 o'clock Mountain Time with the Sam and Elfrida Maloof Foundation for Arts and Crafts in Alta Loma, California. Over the next 5 months, we will visit the Kaus Sharp Historic Site, T.C. Steele State Historic Site, Historic Westwood, the Rini and Chaim Gross Foundation, and the Pollock Krasner House and Study Center. The James Castle House is also celebrating its 5-year anniversary this month, which is wild. So we hope that you will join us on Saturday, April 29th between 1 and 4 p.m. in person to mark this milestone. We're going to have an event fun with food and live music and activities. So we really hope to see you there. And now onto the main event. Maria Michurina is a mixed media artist with a passion for storytelling. Originally from Moscow, Russia, she currently lives and works in Redmond, Washington. Utilizing a wide range of media and found materials, Michurina's work explores daily experiences and the unexpected through quilting, collage, and painting. She strongly believes that color harmony and compositional balance are innate skills that we are all born with. Michurina received a master's degree in applied mathematics and mechanics from Moscow State University. Her work has been featured in several group shows, including the International Quilt Festival, Cerulean Arts Gallery, and Blue Mountain Gallery. She is the recipient of various awards, including first place at the PNWQ Quilt Show and the Seattle Co-Arts Scholarship Award. Maria joined us in early February and has been absolutely prolific during her time here. So if you're in the area, I strongly encourage you to come by tomorrow for Maria's final open studio event between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. to see the incredible body of work that she has made while in residence. So please welcome Maria Michurina.
Thank you, Kristen, for the introduction and for hosting. I guess my turn. Kristen disappears. That means it's my turn. Okay. So first of all, I would like to say that this is my 3rd visit of this gallery, and this has been the longest visit so far. And James Castle turned out to be a very special artist for me, and probably one of my favorite American artists overall. And it's very special, and it's a great honor for me to be here in this room and present my work in this room. I would like to start my talk from this slide. This is one of my favorite paintings by James Castle, which I've never seen live, but I still love this image, at least from the photograph. And not only I love this image, I feel like it pretty well represents my time here during this residency. I feel like it's been 8-week long, so far 8-week long workshop with James Castle, and a lot of exciting topics we explored. And in this boat, I feel like I'm the one on the right, and James Castle was wrong. Overall, I felt like he is the best painting body, ever the best. And I really admire his works, but I also strongly admire his approach to art making and how much he worked. And I think he wouldn't be able to work that much if not the support of his family. And in my case, I also feel I wouldn't be able to be here and I wouldn't be able to do what I was doing if not support of so many people. And so many people actually worked so hard to make this adventure really wonderful. So I would like to thank a few people. This is Boise Department of Arts and History, especially people who worked with me directly, Kristen Hill and Mackenzie Dunstan, who is hiding over there, Kenzie Mackenzie, who is here, and Jennifer, thank you very much for coming. And best ever guide of James Castle House, Sam. Also, Iverson's Library Special Collection and Archives team, it's Cheryl, Gwyn, Alex, and Alicia. And I work as a teacher, and this is an academic year, so I came in the middle of it, and I've been scheduled to teach 4 classes during this year, so a lot of arrangements were needed to help me go here, and I would like to thank all my colleagues. This is Bellevue College, Alicia, Chris, Mina, and Uliana, and Art of Problem Solving Academy, Roger, Matt, Sasha, Charmaine, and Saba. And also I would like to thank my younger students who, before I came to Boise, they drew me these cards, and I promised them that the cards will be always near. They're still in my studio. I've been looking at them every single day. They're very beautiful. And these are people who helped me with my application process, teachers and friends, Alex Cohen, Pat DeCaro, Ken Cooley, Victor Sandblom. And I would like to thank 3 wonderful women who made this adventure very special in so many ways. And I feel like I took their workshop too, and it's been a long and really good one. So this is Kate Brigden, Lisa Pisano, and Andre Merrill. And I would like to thank all my family and friends who were so supportive on this, especially my husband, who's here. And I know that many people joined online, so for those who are not local, I would like to show my source of energy here, and this is the land. The land in Idaho, the land around Boise is really beautiful, and it was very supportive for me too. In fact, last year I came here to see the big show, which was in this gallery with about 100 works, and I got lost in these hills after I saw the show. So this year I came back and I recognized all the trails. It was amazing. I still got lost, but on other ones. So I'll tell you a couple of words about my pathway and how I appeared to be here. I do not really have any formal training in art. I never attended any art program, long program. So my pathway is all about people whom I met on the way. And I'll tell you about a few. So in 2010, I started quilting just for myself. and I came across this book. The book was translated to Russian, and I actually bought it in Russia in a sewing store. And this was actually in hometown of my husband. We just visited his parents and stopped by the store, and I came across this book. So it's written by Joan Colvin, who was a Washingtonian artist. She lived on San Juan Island, and she had small in-home school. And on the last page of this book, there was her photo with her students. And I remember I read the book. I was really excited about the quilts and her words. She found really simple words to describe her passion. And I thought that would be so great to be among her students and travel to her place once to see this nature which surrounds her. And to hear the same year, my husband, Pasha, said, do you want to move to Washington State? And I just thought it's a great idea, but I never got to see Joan Colvin, though. She passed away before I came here, but I got to see her quilts. For people there, and with some of them I still stay in touch, and they've been very supportive. This is Pat DeCaro, Dale Redmond, and Victor Sandler. And then in 2018, I had another very important encounter. I met Ken Cooley, artist from Pennsylvania. And he was actually the person who introduced me to James Castle. He was showing his images in his workshop. And I think first time I saw them in 2019. So I got really curious. I went back home, Googled, and realized that some of his drawings were in Greg Kucera Gallery in Seattle, close to the place I live at. So I drove there, I looked at the drawings. Actually, there were drawings and collages with these kaleidoscopic images. And I really loved them. So I Googled again, discovered that James Castle house was just 8 hours away, and I still had 3 days of vacation. So I ended up to be here this year. And that was my first visit. Since then, I had 2 more. And I'll tell you a little bit about time here at the residency. So this is my 59th day of the residency. And actually this image is supposed to illustrate how Ken Cooley tells me about James Castle. I sit in the car and go, but then I noticed this 59 and counted a little bit. So yeah, this is my 59th day, very surprising, a lot of days. I came here with a plan and no plan at the same time. I wanted 2 things very badly. One thing was I wanted to see more James Castle's works, and I wanted to go to James Castle archive, and I did. Thank you. And also I wanted to go to the foothills, and I did. Thank you. So regarding my own work, I pretty much did not have a plan because I thought it would be more exciting and more honest if I come up with some ideas here and just follow whatever feels right. So I was afraid that I'll get stuck and I won't know what to do. And also right before coming here, I was looking at some books at home and it was hard to part with them. So I just thought for inspiration and ideas, I will take these books with me. And I think they pretty well describe the range of my current interests. So I just decided to share these books with you. This one is called Treasures from India. It's mostly paintings, but not only. And this is a pocket-sized book. I love it very much. I love pocket-sized books. And this one I found in a thrift store. It's on Egyptian paintings, wonderful things. And this is also a pocket-sized book I found in a great bookstore. It's across the street from the Barnes in Pennsylvania. Wonderful store. If you're nearby, visit. It's great. They have great collection of books. And this is mosaics from Ravenna. This is a catalog of ancient coins, and I love them very much for two reasons. First, they are circles, and I'm really fascinated with circles, even though I don't really work in circles. And they have a lot of animals, and I just love these compositions. I love circle compositions in Castle's works too, and I love these coins. Russian icons, collection of rugs. This is a book about its history of tugboats in British Columbia. I love the photos. And this is a book about a group of Russian artists who lived in Stalin's time after war, after the Second World War. And it was a group of artists who didn't want to follow the flow. They didn't want to paint Stalin's portrait, I guess. And they just separated. They quit art schools and they formed their own world. And they suffered a lot because of that, but I don't think they ever regretted that they did it. And in their work, I see a lot of connection to Castle's work. Yeah, the group is called Arefyev Circle. It's in Russian, so I'll translate Arefyev Circle because one of the artists in this group, his last name is Arefyev. And this is a part of my plan and not plan. So the only what I plan to do regarding my work, I was thinking that every day I will go for a walk and I will make some drawings, because I know that if I draw, I have all sorts of ideas in my head, and I just want to work. If I draw a little bit every day. Actually, one of my teachers told me, if you draw 15 minutes, if you drew 15 minutes today, this day was good. I totally agree. So these are my books. Each book is 1 week. Every Sunday I was making one book in the studio, and I was filling it out with drawings during the week. And this is my diary. I started this diary on the first week of the residency because it was it's an unusual experience for me, staying in the residency. I've never tried, and I think after the pandemic, I feel really good staying at home and working at home. So it was a challenge in a way. And I realized that I was getting frustrated much quicker about some of the things which didn't work out well. And I started this diary where I was writing day of the residency, day of the week, and I was shortly listing what I worked on. Like I worked on some drawings, doesn't matter if they worked out or not. So by the end of the day, I could look at it, or by the end of the week, I could look at it, and I had the feeling that I worked on something. And even if it didn't work out yet, maybe it just means that I have to work a little bit more and everything will be fine. So the circle days are the days when I tried something new, what I've never tried before. And I had many days like this here, which was good. And I guess I'll show you some works which are there in the studio right behind me. And the first series I called Shapes Inside Other Shapes. It began from drawings outside. These are just different places in the neighborhood. And then I painted after the drawings. And I wasn't happy about the paintings, wasn't sure what to do about these paintings. And then one night I just started cutting out pieces from boxes, and I was placing the drawings inside these boxes. And it just made me laugh. I thought it was ridiculous in a way. And I just kept going and couldn't stop. And then I started writing stories on the frames. And these are stories just pretty much describing what it is. So on this frame, on top, if you read only the top, you will see the dog which noticed me. But if you read the whole thing, top and bottom, you will read the dog which noticed me first and barked at me. And this dog lives on Farmers Union Canal. It still barks at me. It's okay. And these paintings from reliefs, which I found in mailboxes. And the first mailbox I found on Bloom Street, I was really amazed. And this mailbox actually stands right next to the part of the street where cars move around. And I had to draw from this part and block the movement of the cars. But it's okay. They were very patient. And then I realized actually these boxes are all over the place. So it's not something so special for people who live in Boise, but for me, it was very surprising to see this reliefs. And the shape of the cardboard frame is just the shape of the box, at least how I remember them. And this is also Farmers Union Canal. I really like it. This is a view from a bridge, and you can see another bridge in front of you if you stand on this bridge. And on each of these works, I placed a map in a bag. And when I was drawing, I didn't really think about documenting the location. So I had to walk around and rediscover these places. And this particular house I couldn't find for 2 weeks. I was driving crazy. I was looking for it everywhere. It turned out to be far away from here. Yeah, and when I walked on the first week, I was just taking random turns. So I have no idea where I went. It was hard to find the locations. And then a few weeks after I worked on this series, I came across this drawing by James Castle. And of course, I saw this drawing before I worked on my paintings, but I didn't think about it. And when I saw it later, I was surprised by similarity of the concepts. It just reversed. He started from the shape of the paper, and he placed a similar shape inside this paper. And I did the opposite. I came up with some shape which I observed, and then I put around the shape of the envelope in a way. And this series is about a dirt pile which still exists around the corner on Hacienda and Villa Park. It's some construction going on, and there is a huge dirt pile which you can see from this intersection. And the series began from my first visit to James Castle archive. I was really lucky to see the color works, and I was lucky to hold them in hands and see their relief and feel how sturdy they were. And they have such great surface. It's like the foothills, and it's firm like the foothills. It feels like when you look at these paintings, you walk along them, and even though they are small, they feel very big. And I saw many of them. I think on that day I saw probably 100 of them, and I just wanted to go back and paint. I remember I couldn't talk with anyone, and I just walked along the river to the studio, and I didn't know what to paint. I just wanted to mix some colors and put them on paper. So I opened my drawing books, and I saw this drawing of the dirt pile, and I thought, that's a good shape, that will work. And I just painted it over and over. And these paintings are all done on unhappy prints. Like here in the studio, there is an ancient press, and I really wanted to figure out how to make prints. And I struggled at first, nothing worked out. So for printmaking, usually you use this really nice paper, and I didn't want to waste this paper. So when the print was bad, I was painting over, and I was preserving some parts of the print on some of the paintings. So here you see this darker shape on the bottom. This is a part of the print, and I like the contrast of textures. Like printmaking ink is oil-based ink, and it has this very specific darkness, which you probably will not see in other medium. And the paint I used was gouache, which is very chalky in a way and velvety. So they had the contrast which I enjoyed, and I enjoyed that I could see the print through the paint at some other places. And on some of these paintings, you can see the print more than on others. Like on this one, this darker square is actually the edge of the printing plate. So it's a part of the print showing through, which was not planned, but I left it, I liked it. And same here, you can see the print coming through. The next thing I worked on was experimental for me and exciting. So usually when I paint, I start from something what I observe. It can be a scene, or at least from something what I remember I observed or think I observed. And then I depart from the starting point. I keep changing shapes, changing colors, I add shapes, I combine shapes into one, remove, satisfied. So here I suddenly thought, why do I need this starting point, which is coming from observation? Maybe I can just start from color, which I like, and the random shape, and then I can just work in the same way, add shapes, remove shapes, change colors, and eventually it will be something what I'm happy with. So I tried that, and I was making decisions, like I can't really go completely abstract, I guess. So I was making decisions. I was starting from shapes, and then I was choosing what it will be. So I had two options. One was still life. Actually, I've never painted still life. I've never been happy painting still lifes, but I guess when I don't have real still life to follow, it's a much happier process. And the second thing was landscapes. And all these paintings are also done on top of unhappy prints. And I found responsible for the piece of paper. So I didn't want to give up until this paper got the most possible respect. So I was starting with gouache, going on top of the prints. And gouache has this quality, you can't really put too many layers, especially if you go thicker, and I do. So at some point you have to stop. And if the painting was still not satisfying, I was going on top with acrylic, and then if acrylic was not satisfying, I was collaging on top, and then painting over, collaging, so until I'm happy. Like this one is mostly gouache, but there are some collage elements. And this is almost entirely acrylic by the end. And this one had this back and forth collage and painting. And actually it was a happy moment because I've been collaging for some time and I've been painting for some time, but I never mixed the two. And for me, it was a big barrier between the two. And here with this series, I felt like I raised this edge for myself, which was good. I feel like two medium emerged and became more me, maybe. Yeah, and what I noticed is that the shapes I was using were not actually random shapes. I started noticing that the shapes are coming from my drawing or from something what I saw. So actually, I was observing, memorizing, and repurposing. So in my mind, the shapes were losing the word connected to them, I guess. For example, if you see a shape of a car, you think in terms of shape and you think in terms of car, but later on you only have the shape. You don't have this word staying next to the shape in a way. So you can use the shape for whatever you want. And I think I saw this similar approach of separating the meaning from the shape in Castle's works. And here I have 3 drawings by him. On the left, there is definitely a car. In the middle, it's definitely a shoe. And this is actually a detail. It's a part of a big album book page. And I saw that he was drawing these different shoes from all perspectives in different books. And it was a very distinct shape. And then on the last drawing, I don't know what that is. It's a shoe in a landscape, or it's a car with no wheels. I think it's just a shape which he observed, enjoyed, and repurposed, more likely unintentionally, but I don't know. It's just my guess. And these 2 drawings you actually can find in Memory Palace book, and I noticed that they have same shapes, they just repurposed. I don't think he was looking at one drawing when he was working on the other one. I think it just happened unintentionally because it was his shape vocabulary. And if you look at the left drawing, it has 2 trapezoids connected to each other, which form the house. And on the right, we also see 2 trapezoids, this one and that one, but now it is a boat and a part of a river. Like, if he didn't follow the same structure, he would probably make these 2 shapes different value. But I think he enjoyed this connection between 2 trapezoids, probably. And the trees are very similar. This large and small, they have a very distinct shape, each of them. So it's hard to get confused. Just on these drawings, they are reversed, but they're very similar. Same about the pathway. It is a very distinct curvy shape, and now it becomes small, and it makes this twist, so it is a piece of a river. And this is the drawing which I showed you today already, and now you see the back side. So it is on the ice cream package, and I felt when I was looking at Castle's work, I felt like he didn't really waste even single piece. Like, whatever he was doing, he was giving the greatest respect to this piece of paper, and he was working on the best possible presentation for this piece. Like, even if you see a couple of marks, it will be a part of a book, it will be framed, it will be something, so you will feel it, you will feel its presence. And I've tried my best to be the same way. And I've tried my best to be the same way, especially here. So I really didn't waste any piece of paper but one, or one didn't work out. And it was gouache painting. I was painting at night, I was getting excited, and paint was getting thicker and thicker. And then in the morning, when I woke up, I realized it all cracked and it was falling apart. So I couldn't really glue it back. I tried to glue it back. I tried to glue it with acrylic, it didn't work out. And I put it behind the box to not see it, so it will not bother me. But then it was open studio event, and I moved the box and found this painting. Got very frustrated that I had this piece, and then I noticed that actually some parts were not falling apart. And I don't know why. I started cutting out the squares which were not falling apart, and they were nice. I mean, it was nice to touch them. And I covered them with some wax, and I played with them. I took big piece of white paper, so I was rearranging them in different ways. And then I counted, it was 28 squares, and I thought, oh, it's the end of February, so it will be my calendar. And I made a calendar. And now I think I have to keep up with calendars. So I made March as well. But in March, I didn't really have this ruined piece of paper, but I had a lot of pieces of cardboard, which were teeny tiny. I wasn't sure what to do with them, but I loved how different they were. This I all found found pieces of cardboard on the street. Some Mackenzie brought me. Thank you very much. And yeah, one I found actually in James Castle house garbage can. And of course, these calendars are very much inspired by James Castle's calendars. And to those people who are on Zoom, I think I will shift the screen. The calendar is right behind. In fact, I felt like I was in, like he showed me the works. So I felt like I have to show him my work too. So this wall is shared. The back is my studio. And here it's a gallery. So I was taping my work to this wall from the other side, just to show. And this is another series. So I told you that I was trying to figure out something about printmaking. And I tried different things. I tried monotype and I tried carving, and I ended up working on dry point. And this series pretty much appeared also after my visit to James Castle Archives. So Andre, who works there, showed me a lot of drawings which were creating a panoramic view of a street. And I was so fascinated by these drawings because I thought, oh, what a great idea. You know, sometimes you want to draw or paint, but you waste some time on thinking what to draw or what to paint. At least I do it. And it's a precious time, you know, you could just draw during this time. And I felt like if I decide that I go on the street and will document the street, I don't have to waste time on thinking what to draw. It's all about what you take in and what you take out. It's not about the location. You can go anywhere and make a drawing. So I decided I will document Castle Drive. I didn't document the whole thing. I only documented from where to where. I wrote it here, from Pierce Park to Castle Hill Way. So it's a small piece of a street, still a lot to work on. And this is a part of the series. At this point, I paused. I'll show you. It's hard to see how they line up because the prints are reversed. You have a drawing on your plate and then you print, so you get a mirror image. But these are the places right nearby. So this is the church on the intersection of Eugene and Castle Drive. And this is the intersection. You can see these hills from the intersection. And this is just next house. And the house after that. And this fence is so distinct, you will see it on the next image. And here, if you look at the street signs, like this one will appear later on. So this house here, I think the owners have chickens, so maybe someone else has chickens and chickens travel back and forth from one yard to another. So here's the same house, but with chickens. And this is same yard, chickens, but it's like looking farther along the street. So this is the very end of the street. And actually this fence right here does not exist any longer. It was removed. And this window now is in place. So on my drawing, it was just a black hole. Now there's a window. The construction is almost over. And these are the plates. So instead of working on traditional material, which would be copper or zinc, I used cardboard. And I knew about using cardboard for dry point from a Russian artist. Her name is also Maria, but last name is Ivanova. And she works in this, she uses this technique a lot. And once I watched an interview with her, and she was saying that it's the same as with metal pretty much. And I wanted to try. When I tried, nothing worked out. It was a disaster. And I started writing her an email. I carefully described what I did and what I got. And after I did it, I realized why it didn't work out, so I didn't send the email. I just figured out. And the place, you know, so the process is you take a piece of cardboard, you cover it optionally with some glue, and then you take a needle and you scrape the plate. So you make some areas deeper and more absorbent. And then you push the ink into these grooves, then you wipe the excess, and you roll, like you put paper, you put it in the press, and by the end of the process, you still see ink on the plate, on the absorbent areas. And I like the way these plates looked, and I felt like sometimes they are better than the prints. So I put them on a string and kept them. And this is a close-up of a plate. So you see the texture, like the surface is roughened in some areas and it's smoother on the others. And I worked on this series for a long time. And every single day I was using the etching press. And then I was almost asleep or maybe already asleep. And it was a dream or a thought, I don't know. But in this dream, I was making a construction, like Castle was making these constructions. I was making a construction of a press just to show this press that I respected very much. And when I woke up, I made a construction. So this is the press. And this is the construction. And construction puzzled me because I planned out the front part because I was looking at the front part all the time, this handle and drawers. But what to do with the back? I thought it will be maybe on the wall, then I should keep it blank, or I should make the other side of the press. I wasn't sure. So I turned the press around to look what's in the back. And I realized I had no clue what was there. It surprised me so much that I was using something every single day, and I had no idea how it actually looked. So I was so fascinated by this, that especially by this rectangular part right here. I couldn't believe it was there. It was so different compared to the front part. Actually, in the front part, you also see, but it's hidden. And here it's so, you can see the whole thing. So I just made this detail to make sure I really saw it. And then I made this detail with something else. This is actually, you know, right here, the orange part. This is mac and cheese package, which is coming from Kenzie Mackenzie. Oh, and this in the middle, this is chocolate. Kristen introduced me to this chocolate. It's so delicious. And then I just couldn't stop. I made this figure just to have fun. And I thought about my father while making it. He wears this kind of funny hats and he has this big ear and he can move the ears. I could not, I was always jealous. And I thought the first figure needed a friend and maybe a cat and maybe a horse. Neighbors have horses here, and sometimes these horses up close, they're so fuzzy, so good. And then I carried them around and I drew them. Yeah, I had a lot of fun in the studio. And this is a photo of James Castle's boxes and bundles. And actually it turned out that on my first visit to James Castle Archive, one of the first things I saw was a box, and this box was a patchwork, stitched pieces of cardboard. It was so beautiful. I got so jealous. I just wanted this box. So I had to figure out how to make these boxes. I'm still on the way, but I made some. And by the way, this white piece over here, this is a COVID test package. You know, they have the best paper. It's so wide. It's just a pleasure to work with it. I tried different brands. They all are good. Okay, so I think I'm close to the end of this talk, and I would like to welcome you tomorrow in the studio from 11 to 1. And also, I want to show you this photo of the sculpture by Troy Quasi in the front yard of this museum. And if you walk around and look very closely, on one of them, you will see the words by Jane Hirschfield. Everything is changing, everything is connected, pay attention. And I really felt it here. I felt like everything around me was changing, my work was changing. I felt the connection of my current work and my past work, of my work and Castle's work. I felt the connection between Castle's works. And I think it was so priceless and so rare that I could experience such a great collection of his works at once without any selection, which would be done by a gallery or museum. And I could see the whole entire life of the artist and experience his home. It was especially valuable because I experienced it life of the artist whom I admire so much. And I think these words by Aristotle will well represent what I think about the collection I saw. And I hope one day there will be a change in the art world, and instead of big signs next to paintings with 1,000 of words, people will see just images of other works related to the work exhibited in the museum. And I hope my math students will not take this phrase too literally. However, it's really true. Okay, if you have a minute, I'll show you just a couple of images. Do I have a minute?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So this is the drawing I showed you at the very beginning. As I told you, I've never seen it in person, but I got to see, a year ago, I got to see its close friend. And this friend is located in Moscow in Russia. It's actually a fresco from a church which was destroyed in Soviet time. It's on Volga River in Pushavin Monastery. And it's a piece of a wall. And Castle's drawing is a piece of a cardboard from ice cream pack. Different materials, but I think they have so much in common. Like, it's completely different size. Fresco is large and his drawing is so small, but they create similar feeling. And the way this edge is cut by Castle and the way this edge is cut, I don't know, by time or people, who knows now. They are similar and the surfaces are so similar, even though the materials are different. And this drawing I also showed you on the way. So I wanted to show you the source which Lisa sent me recently. And same for this. This is it. I'll finish the talk with a little heart.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. That was amazing.
Thank you.
I've seen your work in person and I am just blown away even by all of the new stuff since the last time I saw it. So I'm very impressed with how much work you've done.
Thank you, Kristen.
And the quality of it, yes. So we would love to open up for some questions if anyone has questions. And just a reminder that if anyone in our in-person audience asks a question, I will be repeating it aloud. All right. I am not seeing any. Yes, absolutely.
Something that we talked about pretty soon after you arrived was the concept of play and how you wanted to play with your artwork and materials like you haven't done since you were a child. How did you balance the instinct to play while also establishing structure throughout your day as an artist and someone who had goals to complete work?
Yeah, I guess I didn't. Thank you, Kenzie. I guess I didn't worry much about the goal. I was just waking up with some idea, silly or not, doesn't matter. I was just going working on this idea. Like one morning I woke up, I remember I went to the kitchen and I had this paper bag full of different trash. I flipped it to the middle of the room and like picked whatever I liked and made a book. So I didn't have any thought during this time that I have to finish this work, that I have to present it. It just for the sake of making something, whatever feels right, I guess. Did I answer your question? Mm.
Yes, the question was about the process of play, and Maria's early time here, she was really talking about being inspired to approach this residency from a perspective of play and letting go of, I guess, preconceived work notions. And there was another question. I just saw a hand go up. Yes.
Maria, thank you so much. That was incredible.
Thank you, Jane.
You said at some point you almost reached out to another artist. I think you mentioned her name was Maria
Ivanova.
Ivanova. What happened that made you resolve the issue that you were facing?
Okay, hold on. Sorry. So the question is, when Maria was on the brink of reaching out to Maria Ivanova, is that the correct name? What was it that actually reaching out?
Yeah, so the problem, thank you. The problem was I didn't push ink into the grooves well enough. And when I was writing this email, I recalled some time back, I took an etching class. And it's actually the same process. So I just recalled what I was doing in this etching class and it resolved the issue. Yeah, actually I emailed her before, so it was not like, hey, Maria, I'm another Maria, and we've never met. So it would be probably normal if I sent this email, but I figured out.
We have a question online. So will you be showing this full body of work elsewhere?
Well, thank you for the question. I guess for now I have boxes for each series, stitched boxes. I'll put the works in the boxes, we'll hide them between the walls. So this is my first gallery space, and later on I don't know.
Was there another question over here?
Kind of a follow-up. You seem so confident in the work that you do. It's really inspiring. And you've drawn a ton of inspiration from James Castle and all the artists that were shown in the books. How often do you reach out to other artists, living artists, for inspiration, or how do you get the confidence that you have? It's incredible.
Okay,
Mhm.
so the question is, and the remark first is that Maria is so confident in the work that she has made and that she makes. And she has drawn so much inspiration from James Castle and from other artists. And how does she get this confidence? I guess, what is it that helps her to feel that way?
Mhm. I think I had a very important encounter which helped me with the confidence. So when I met Ken Cooley, he just found some important words for me. Some I didn't understand at first and understood later, but overall, he changed the way I look at my work. I think I was a little bit confused at first by art making. I was thinking that there is right and wrong way and you have to follow this way. But actually, all these theories you study, they are not your theories. You will never be able to comprehend them fully. You can create your own theory and follow it if you wish, but it's not the starting point. The starting point should be just simplicity and love to what you do, loving the color, loving the shape. And if you honestly answer yourself simple questions, I guess, you will never be upset about your work and you will always know what to do. And I feel like if I'm unhappy, it just means I haven't finished the work, but what I've done will help me to finish it. So thinking that way, I guess, helps to move on and be more confident.
It's so wonderful to be so honest to oneself. Really wonderful.
And it's so easy, and I'm surprised how easily also people forget about it. But these are simple questions, you know. When I figured it out, I was amazed that I couldn't answer questions like real basic questions. Do I like this painting? Do I like this color? Do I like this shape? Everyone can answer those questions, but when you try to follow someone's idea, you, I guess, don't ask these questions from yourself, or you don't try to answer honestly. And as soon as you start, life is changing.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think we have time for one more question. We're almost to 7 o'clock. There is a question online. What do you hope to take from this residency into your studio practice as you move forward?
Everything.
Shortest answer. Very succinct. All right. Well, thank you all so much for coming tonight. This was amazing. It was incredible to see your work, and it has just been a delight to have you here. So I'm so glad that you have been here and that you get to spend another couple of weeks with us. And thank you so much, Lavona. Lavona is an incredible ASL interpreter. She has been a part of so many projects with the James Castle House. It's amazing. So we opened in 2018. She has been along for the ride pretty much since day one, and is always a joy to work with her as well. So if you are in town, please join us tomorrow between 11 and 1 for Maria's final open studio, and come see her incredible works in person. And visit our website at jamescastlehouse.org for more information on any other events. Have a great night. Thank you.